Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm showing you how to set up Audacity from scratch, and I'm also going to show you how to record and edit audio in Audacity. But first guys, if you want, you can go down on this video in the comment section and click on the first comment that I pinned. This will bring you to my Fiverr, and here you can get a YouTube logo and banner or a modern minimalist YouTube logo and banner for your YouTube channel. But now back to the video. A previous video on my channel actually goes over how to get Audacity, so how to download and install Audacity. If it is something you're interested in, if you didn't have it yet or you are struggling to get it, I advise you check out that video. It's up here in the right corner. But I'm just going to head and start here by going to Audio Setup and Audio Settings. Now set it to MME, which is something I could advise as well. You also have as another option the Windows Wasabi, which is also a great alternative, though you won't have the option to do it in stereo. So you will only be able to do mono. And mono is for example for microphones, but stereo is like music for example. So this will not have stereo, keep that in mind. So that's why I advise in a lot of cases to go for MME here. Device, I just selected my speakers, so that's anything I hear in my headphones. There's also going to be some other options here where you might want the audio to go to. So where you hear the audio in, like for example your sound card if you have that. So just make sure that here you select wherever you want to hear the sound. The device, this is going to be the input. Now in my case, it's going to be a microphone Blue Yeti, because that is my microphone. And of course, once again, you can select any other software or whatever else you want to choose as an input here. Now, because I'm only going to record a microphone, I advise you to put it to mono. Now, if there's like music involved, I would definitely advise you to be in stereo. But when you're only going to record your voice and using a microphone, just keep it at mono. Here, I advise you to do 48,000 Hertz. You have the option to go down to 44,100. At times, that can be better for you. You might be running into less problems. But 48,000 Hertz is a bit better quality and it's used quite often. So if you have the option to do so, I definitely advise you to go for that. Here, default sample format, I'm just going to set it to 32-bit float. You can go down to 24 or even 16-bit if you're running into any problems. It's going to be basically also the quality of the audio, but I have never had any problems running it at 32-bit float. And this is in case you have any latency. So if you're, for example, talking any words and they might come like a couple of milliseconds or a second later, then you're dealing with latency when there's like a delay there. Now this is actually the place where you would be able to bring that delay down. So you have to bring these down if you're once again running into that problem. Now I don't have that problem, so I'm just going to leave it as is, but just keep in mind you can change around those numbers in case you have the latency problem, and generally you want to bring them down. But anyways, I'm done here, so I'm just going to click OK. Now if Audacity doesn't see your microphone, because you might have plugged in your microphone when Audacity was already open, for example, or any other reason, you can go to Audio Setup, Recording Device. So first of all, you want to make sure it's here. Now as we saw, my microphone Blue Yeti was already connected. It did recognize it. But in case, you can go down to Rescan Audio Devices. That might help. And if that doesn't work, I actually advise you to just go out of Audacity or restart your computer, for example. And of course, also make sure that your microphone with the cables is of course also correctly connected to your computer. Now up here, you're just going to have the levels. So if you see the little icon, this is going to be the microphone. That is going to be the level of it. And then same for the output, which in my case was my speakers. I can also just play around, see how loud or how quiet I want this to be. This is by the way in dB if you're just wondering. So now it will be like -3 dB and it starts here at 100%, it's going to be 0 dB. So once again, you can play around with that if you feel like you need to. Now down here, you'll have the tempo. It's set at 120 BPM at the moment. Also time signature in case, it's in 4/4. It's going to be the timer, so how much time has passed. I then want to go up to Edit, Preferences. I'm going to have a couple of options. Here we actually see back the ones that we just did. But I'm going to go to Interface. There's going to be some appearance options, so the language, I'm set to English, you can do whatever you want. The theme light, if you prefer something more dark, because it's actually pretty light. The Audacity software, you can of course do that as well. And some little extra options. So just in case, keep this tab in mind, but it's mostly preferences. Now then I actually want to go to the recording tab, and so I want to show you how to actually hear yourself speak in Audacity. So hear yourself speak while recording in Audacity. To do that, you have to enable audible input monitoring. So you have to make sure that this is checked. This sometimes also might be called software playthrough of input, as this will allow you to hear yourself. Now that's just in case you want that, of course, and you'll be able to hear your own voice while recording. And then make sure you click OK. Then I'm going to add an audio track. For that we go up to tracks. I'm going to do add new. Now this is going to be my microphone. So as I said earlier, make sure that in that case it's going to be a mono track, because we're only going to record my microphone here. It's as simple as that. You can also alternatively right click and select add mono track, once again for microphone, or add stereo track if for example you're doing music as well. So that will be a quicker way to add an audio track in Audacity. Okay, so now I will record a piece of audio as an example. So at the beginning I'm going to keep a couple of seconds, because what I'll show you later is I'm going to add a noise removal. And so to record, we're going to press the record button. I'm going to use this as an example. I'm going to use this as an example. Okay, and so there's the recording. Now I can do skip to start, so it's going to be at the beginning. Skip to end obviously will bring it to the end of that audio snippet. And so if I bring it back to the beginning and of course do play, I'm going to use this as an example and pause. There's going to be stop. Just gonna bring it back to the beginning. And this will be actually looping. So this audio will just keep on repeating itself. You can with Control and Scroll also zoom in if you want to. And alternatively, if you go up here, also have that where you can just click it, make it larger. Even if pretty detailed, as you can see, zoom in. If that's something you want, could actually be useful. Otherwise, of course, just zoom it out again. What we can also do is a trim start and a trim end. That is if you take the end and just do this, so you don't have to cut it. You're just making it, you know, shorter and cutting off the end basically. You can also remove a certain part. So for example, we don't want this part. We can use our mouse and drag it, and then we can click delete button on our keyboard and to remove that certain part. If you want to undo that, we can do Ctrl Z. As you can see, it brings it back. And you also have that option up here. So the undo, what we just did is Ctrl Z. So it's doing one step back. But you can also do redo. So the Ctrl Y. And then we go a step forward again. So now this piece has been removed once again. Backwards, undo, and forward, redo. Now in case you want to, for example, cut a piece of audio into multiple parts, selections, what you can do is select a certain part in the recording once again. And then you do Ctrl I. And as you can see, it became two separate, I can also move them by the way, pieces of audio. And we can of course do that multiple times as well. If I do another Ctrl E, we obviously also have the option, if I click the whole track, just by doing this or double clicking, to do Ctrl C. I go a bit further, let's say around here, and do Ctrl V. That is going to paste it. So Ctrl C is copy, Ctrl V is paste. Once again, delete to remove that. If you want to add a second track, and this time for example for music, so a stereo track, you can once again go up to tracks, add new stereo track, or as I said earlier, you right click and do add stereo track. And this is going to be in stereo, so we can add like a song music in this one. And this one is a mono because it's only my microphone. So that's how you add multiple ones. You can of course right click and add even more audio tracks in Audacity. You do of course also have the option to solo a track. So if I only want to hear my microphone, I click on solo. This one would be completely muted if there was like any music playing here. And to only focus, so solo this track out, my microphone. And click it once again. Mute is going to mute that certain audio track. You'll still hear the other audio tracks in question you would have. It's only going to specifically mute one audio track, so only in this case my microphone is going to be the only thing that will be muted. And so if you want to delete an audio track, only one, not all, so just one audio track, what you can do is simply go to this little cross. It's pretty little, it's in the corner here, click that and it will delete the entire track. Now of course if you did something you didn't want to do, you can once again just do the undo here, so the Ctrl Z if you accidentally deleted one. If I hear my audio back, now there's not going to be any effects on it, but let's listen to how it sounds. I'm going to use this as an example. Okay, we have that. Now, if in case you, for example, want to make this a bit louder, click the whole track. I'm going to go to Effect, Volume and Compression, and go to the first one, which is going to be Amplify. So it's going to make it a bit louder. It's already at a decent volume, so I'm not going to boost this too much. Let's say like 3.5. Now you can also preview it before you click Apply, which is very nice. You can see if there's any like problems, if it's too quiet or too loud, but watch out with that. So start this pretty low. I'm going to use this as an example. Okay, so let's actually go ahead and do that. I'm not going to make it too loud here either, also because I'm recording. And here you'll see the new peak of amplitude in dB. So now it will be as loud as minus 10 dB. So once again, that's the new peak around there. So click apply. And if I play back now, I'm going to use this as an example. It's slightly louder. Of course, you could have done a bit more. Now, as I said, I'm recording, so I'm not going to do that right now. But the higher we bring up the number, obviously the louder it's going to get. So also make sure you watch out for that. And so now something I talked about earlier, I wanted to make sure I did some noise removal, removing some background noise. Now the thing is, if I listen back to this quiet part, there's like no background noise at all pretty much. So you're not really gonna hear it, but you might actually have quite some more background noise than I do. And whatever the case might be, just take a certain area where you think you hear the background noise alone, so not with your voice. That's why I said you have to be quiet at the beginning, because you hear like the background noise. Now I'm just gonna take like this portion. Then you want to go to Effect, Noise Removal and Repair, and do Noise Reduction. First we're going to do Get Noise Profile. So just got this part specifically, using that as an example for what we're going to do next. So now in this case, make sure that the whole track is selected. Double click or just click up here. Once again, Effect, Noise Removal and Repair, and Noise Reduction. 12, I'm just going to do by like 8, because as I said, mine is pretty low. Also watch out for the sensitivity. It's also play a role to what extent it's going to cut off. So also watch out with that. It's not going to completely cut off your voice as well. To make sure this is on reduce. You can also, of course, as we saw earlier, do a preview. I'm going to use this as an example. As you can see, we hear it even less, which is very nice. I'm just going to take this and do OK. I'm just going to cut this off like the trim end, because there's some mouth noise that I don't like here. As an example. There we go, so it just cuts off. And the beginning we also don't need. So I can also do a trim start, as you can see. And so we just have this piece of audio now. Then drag it to the beginning. Final thing. It's pretty simple, but let's listen to it. I'm going to use this as an example. As you can see, there we go. Remove some background noise. Also cut off some parts that aren't very important. And so we just have the clear piece of audio now, which is very nice. Now I actually have another video up here in the right corner that shows you how to make your voice better in Audacity, so how to add effects, like for example EQ, and will help you get a better microphone quality in Audacity. So if that's something you're interested in, make sure you check that out. Once again, it's up here in the right corner if you want. And what I'm gonna do here is lastly save this project. For that we're gonna simply go to File, Save Project. You can also do it to the cloud, but I'm just gonna do Save Project. I'm gonna do As, and then here you will see where it goes. So in my case, I'm simply gonna do 4. Now it will be a AUP3 project file. Keep that in mind. And so this is the project file, not what we're gonna export afterwards. This is purely gonna be the project and everything in it. So let's click Save. Then if you want to go back, you can of course do Open and double click this, or Open to open once again the whole project. And in case you also want to export it as an MP3 or a WAV, go back to File, Export Audio. Once again, you can do it through like a cloud in the audio.com, but I'm just going to do it to my computer. So this is going to be the file name. There's going to be a folder. You can actually browse that yourself and decide where you want it to be. I personally go for WAV, since that's the best audio quality you can get. MP3 is also an option, but I do highly advise you to use WAV. Now I'm going to do mono because I only had the recording of my voice. Sample rate I already kept at 48,000 Hz, 32-bit float. Once again, you can change around some things here, but generally if you're not running into any problems, just keep it at 32 or down to 16 in case you shouldn't need to. Export range, I'm just going to do the entire project. I don't only want a certain part, I want everything that I recorded in case. So I'm just going to do entire project. You can also, what is pretty interesting, add the metadata. So I'd like, if for example do music on artist name, track, album title, the year. That's actually going to leave like a digital print, which is also very nice in case you're making music. I'd like a tag. So this is something I want to mention as well. I'm just going to click cancel and then I can just export. Then what we can do is go to File. I'm going to go to Import. Audio. You can add for example any song, or of course what we just recorded in Audacity, so it was audio 4, and then you can open it so that you just have this piece of audio alone, and then you can double click or click open and it will be right here. In case guys, I really just wanted to go over how to set up Audacity from scratch, so in a way it's also an Audacity tutorial for beginners, but I just wanted to make sure that I mentioned the basics here within Audacity as well. So in any case, I do of course hope you enjoyed this video. Please, if you like, it would be really nice. Subscribe, it's also really nice. Hope to see you guys in my next video. Bye.